The psychology of belief. Why we believe in anything. On a day when billions celebrate matters of faith, let's ask a simple but profound question. Why do humans believe? It's a strange paradox. The same species that sends machines to the edge of the solar system also refuses to walk under ladders, clings to lucky numbers, and sees signs in coincidences. We can land spacecraft on comets with precision measured in milliseconds, yet still whisper a quiet hope into the air before making a difficult decision. We trust equations that describe the birth of galaxies, but we also trust an intuition that tells us someone's watching when no one is there. Belief is one of humanity's oldest companions. Every civilization, every era, every community has carried it like a torch in the dark. Sometimes it illuminates, sometimes it blinds, but it always burns. So what is belief, really? At its core, it's a mental commitment to an idea, a sense that something is true, meaningful, or trustworthy. Sometimes belief is a matter of faith. Sometimes it's a matter of science. Sometimes it's a quiet assumption you never noticed you were holding. Belief is the way we plant flags in the uncertain terrain of the mind, claiming small patches of stability in a world that rarely stops moving. We believe in gods and in governments, in love and in logic, in hard data and in half-remembered anecdotes, in rituals, rites, remedies, dreams, traditions, horoscopes, probabilities, and promises. Belief spans every domain of our lives, from the cosmic to the microscopic. And this is the key insight. Belief is not a flaw. It's a feature of being human. Even the most skeptical mind believes in something. Reason itself is a kind of belief in the reliability of our cognitive tools. Evidence-based thinking is a belief that the universe plays by discoverable rules. No one escapes the architecture of belief. We only choose different rooms to live within it. But to understand why belief runs so deep, we need to step back, far back, beyond cities, beyond civilizations, beyond fire itself. We need to return to the world of our ancestors, where belief didn't just shape meaning, but shaped survival. Imagine an ancient plain under a sky thick with clouds. Wind races through tall grass, carrying secrets with it. You stand there, a human long before the word human meant what it does today. Every sound could be danger. Every shadow could be a predator. Uncertainty is everywhere, and the penalty for being wrong even once could be the end of your lineage. In that world, your brain evolves an essential rule. When you're not sure what something is, it's better to assume intention than randomness. Better to mistake wind for a predator than predator for wind. The cost of a false positive is a moment of unnecessary fear. The cost of a false negative is death, so your mind learns to detect patterns, to search for agency, to connect events into stories. Because the creatures who did that survived, and survival writes itself into biology. And from those ancient calculations emerges belief. Belief is the evolutionary bridge between uncertainty and action. It's the brain saying, I don't know for sure, but this is the safest bet. Our ancestors didn't wait for perfect data. They believed, and then they acted. Picture an ancient tribe facing drought. Day after day, the sky offers nothing but silence. The crops twist in the heat. The rivers shrink to stubborn puddles. Fear spreads through the community like a whisper. In that fear, someone proposes a ritual. A dance, a chant, a symbolic offering, and the tribe gathers beneath the blinding sun to perform it. Rain eventually comes, because weather doesn't negotiate with human timelines. But when it does, the ritual becomes sacred memory, A pattern is born. A belief takes shape. For that tribe, ritual didn't just explain nature. It united them, strengthened trust, reduced anxiety, reinforced cooperation. A shared belief, even if scientifically false, helped the group survive. Belief was glue before language became sophisticated enough to be glue. It was a social technology long before the first tool was carved from stone. Belief gathered communities around fires. Belief gave families reasons to stay loyal. Belief turned fear into story and story into civilization. And although the world has changed, the mind that navigates it has not. Consider a small cinematic thought experiment. 3 humans in 3 different eras. The first, standing under an ancient sky, searches the arc of starlight for omens. A shift in the clouds, the trail of a comet, the flight of a distant bird. All feel like messages meant for them. The universe is a vast script written by invisible hands. The second, living in a medieval village, wakes from a dream and interprets its symbols with solemn seriousness. A figure in the dream becomes a prophecy. A landscape becomes a warning. Dreams feel like windows to truth because the line between inner world and outer world is thin. The third sits in a modern apartment, illuminated by the glow of a phone screen. They scroll through a video, explaining that a hidden organization controls everything. The narrator speaks confidently. The images feel compelling. The coincidences add up. The story feels true, even if the evidence is thin. 3 minds separated by centuries. 3 completely different belief systems. Yet the underlying engine is the same. Pattern detection, agency detection, narrative creation. The world speaks and the human mind listens, even when the world is silent. This is where the psychology deepens. The brain doesn't just look for patterns. It prefers patterns that confirm what we already believe. Confirmation bias is perhaps the most powerful sculptor of human reality. Once a belief forms, we notice everything that supports it. We overlook everything that contradicts it. The mind becomes a spotlight fixed on what makes the story feel right. Then there's the backfire effect, one of the strangest quirks in cognition. Sometimes when someone tries to correct our beliefs, we double down. Facts bounce off. Arguments harden us. The belief becomes stronger precisely because it was challenged. The mind defends beliefs the way the immune system defends the body. Aggressively, instinctively, and often irrationally. Memory complicates things further. We think of memory as an archive, a careful librarian preserving our experiences. But memory is a storyteller. It reshapes events each time we recall them, smoothing edges, adding meaning, building a narrative that feels coherent, even if it isn't accurate. The stories we remember become the stories we believe. And this brings us to a remarkable case where belief literally alters biology, the placebo effect. Give someone a sugar pill and tell them it's powerful medicine. Their brain may release chemicals that actually reduce pain, lower stress, or accelerate healing. The belief acts as a trigger. Expectation becomes biology. The mind doesn't just think under the influence of belief. It functions under it. Which brings us into modern life, where belief is being amplified by forces our ancestors could never have imagined. The digital age has become a belief factory. Every scroll, every search, every like is collected, analyzed, and fed back to us, shaping what we see and what we don't. Social media builds echo chambers where each of us lives inside a custom-made world. Beliefs are reinforced not by carefully gathered evidence, but by algorithms designed to maximize attention. The more emotional the idea, the faster it spreads. The more divisive, the more it thrives. Imagine someone sitting alone late at night, curious or lonely, or simply bored. They click on a video out of curiosity. The video suggests another, then another. Soon they're drawn into a loop of escalating certainty. Each piece of content fits the last. Patterns appear everywhere. The world begins to look like a puzzle with a single hidden answer. And in the background, dopamine rewards each moment of discovery, each moment of connection, each moment of certainty. The belief grows. But scientific belief works differently. Science is not the absence of belief. It's the belief that reality can be tested, that evidence can change minds, that uncertainty is not a flaw but a doorway to discovery. Scientific belief bends to data. It corrects itself. It evolves. Where ideological belief seeks stability, scientific belief seeks refinement. Yet both share a deeper human story. Both reflect the same longing, to understand our world, to feel connected, to find meaning. And meaning is always social. Beliefs tie us to communities. They build friendships, families, nations. They tell us who we are and who we're not. They inspire acts of compassion and courage. They also create lines in the sand, boundaries that can divide us as quickly as they unite us. To understand this, imagine a quiet train station late at night. Two strangers sit on opposite ends of a bench. One believes strongly in destiny. The other believes the world is nothing but chance and physics. At first glance, they seem incompatible. But look closer. Both are shaped by childhood stories, by mentors and teachers, by moments of heartbreak or awe. Both carry memories and fears and hopes stored deep within the architecture of the brain. Both are trying to make sense of a universe that is far larger and more complex than any mind can fully grasp. They disagree, yet they are more alike than either realizes. And this brings us to something practical, a kind of gentle map for navigating the landscape of belief. First, awareness. Becoming conscious of our biases is the beginning of wisdom. Notice when a belief feels too comfortable. Notice when you're ignoring information because it challenges your identity. Notice when your mind is choosing certainty over truth. Second, curiosity. Instead of defending beliefs automatically, pause. Ask how you came to them. Ask how someone else could see the same world differently. Curiosity isn't the opposite of belief. It's belief with humility. Third, compassion. Every belief has a story behind it. Every belief serves a purpose, even if that purpose is simply to reduce fear. When someone disagrees with you, they're not opposing you. They're protecting the story that helped them survive. Understanding this softens the edges of conflict. And fourth, reflective belief. The goal isn't to believe less. It's to believe more consciously, to choose beliefs that open your world rather than close it, to hold meaning in one hand and evidence in the other, to treat beliefs like tools, useful but always revisable. Belief is not a defect in the human mind. It is the mind's attempt to orient itself in a universe that offers mystery at every scale. We believe because we're human, and we're human because we believe. Belief is a lens we rarely notice we're looking through. It colors experience quietly, like a filter we didn't know was applied to reality. And once we begin to see the lens itself, once we realize how our minds carve meaning from chaos, the world grows both more intricate and more humane. Because understanding belief isn't just a psychological exercise, it's a way of understanding each other. To trace the full arc of belief, we return to the beginning of human consciousness, to a time when the night sky was the grandest screen imaginable. For our ancestors, the stars weren't distant suns. They were symbols, signs, messages. Constellations weren't random, they were stories. The sky became a canvas for hope and fear, triumph and caution. Every dot of light served as evidence that the universe was alive and watching. And that's the heart of belief, the sense that the world is not indifferent. When early humans gathered in circles around fires, their stories did more than entertain. They carved shared maps of reality. One tribe might believe the sky is a vast dome. Another might believe it's a great ocean. One group might imagine spirits wandering through the trees at dusk. Another might imagine the ancestors guiding them with invisible hands. But regardless of the details, belief wasn't optional. It was how you made sense of the world. It was how you belonged. Picture an ancient child listening to elders tell of a great storm caused by an angered spirit. The child sees the storm's violence. The story explains the chaos. An explanation brings relief. Even fear is easier to bear when it has a name. Fast forward to today. A child watches a storm from the safety of a modern home. No spirits, no curses, just atmospheric conditions. But the same instinct to explain still pulses within the mind. A scientist describes pressure systems and temperature gradients. A poet describes the storm as a restless giant. A conspiracy theorist calls it a secret weather experiment. 3 beliefs, 1 phenomenon, each shaped by the same ancient impulse, to bring order to uncertainty. We often imagine that belief belongs mostly to religion or superstition. But belief is woven into every domain of life. The scientist believes the universe obeys laws. The entrepreneur believes in a vision no one else sees. The artist believes emotion can become form. Parents believe in their children's futures. Communities believe in shared values. Nations believe in their own stories. And this is where belief becomes profound. Most of what we rely on every day is not directly observable. We believe our memories reflect reality. We believe our perceptions are accurate. We believe other minds exist. We believe the ground beneath us will hold. Without belief, life becomes impossible. But belief is powerful precisely because it is invisible. It shapes decisions, relationships, identities, and sometimes it becomes a fortress we defend more fiercely than our own well-being. To understand why, we need to examine a fundamental truth. Belief is emotional before it is rational. When someone challenges our beliefs, the experience isn't intellectual. It feels personal. The brain lights up, not in regions related to logic, but in areas connected to identity and threat detection. To question a deeply held belief feels like questioning the story we tell about ourselves. And the brain defends that story with remarkable tenacity. Imagine someone raised with the belief that the world is fundamentally good. They've seen kindness, generosity, shared laughter. That belief becomes a foundation for trust. But someone else might be raised in a chaotic environment. Danger, uncertainty, betrayal. They learn that the world can't be trusted. Their belief becomes vigilance. Both beliefs are adaptations to experience. Neither is irrational. They are emotional ecosystems formed from memory, environment, and necessity. And the mind doesn't simply store beliefs, it protects them. This protection comes from a suite of cognitive biases. evolved shortcuts that help us navigate complexity. Confirmation bias filters information in a way that preserves existing narratives. The availability heuristic makes vivid memories feel like universal truths. The anchoring effect makes first impressions stick, even when better evidence appears later. These biases aren't mistakes, they're efficiencies. The brain is constantly compressing reality into manageable stories. And perhaps the most powerful story we tell is the story of intention. The human brain is a master of agency detection. It assumes the rustle in the bushes is a creature, the shadow is a watcher, the coincidence is a sign. We're wired to see purpose. Even today, we attribute motives to storms, algorithms, markets, luck, fate. When something unexpected happens, we often feel as though the universe has nudged us. Our brains evolved to treat randomness as meaningful because meaning kept us alive. But meaning is only half the story. The other half is belonging. Beliefs bind us to groups. They signal loyalty. They create in-groups and out-groups. They plant roots deep into identity. And identity is social currency. When people adopt beliefs that seem puzzling or irrational, the explanation is often not logic, but community. Beliefs are passports into friendship circles, political tribes, online communities, subcultures. To question a belief inside a group can feel like risking exile. And exile, in the context of evolution, was death. This is why shifting beliefs feels so difficult. It's not the idea that changes. It's the social fabric attached to it. Imagine a person embedded in an online conspiracy community. At first, it's curiosity, then fascination, then connection. They find others who feel misunderstood by the mainstream. The community praises curiosity, skepticism, distrust of authority. These become shared values. The person feels close to people they've never met in person, and the belief becomes more than an idea. It becomes home. To leave that belief is not simply to accept new information, it is to risk losing that home. Belief becomes a shelter, a compass, a family. The same mechanism operates in more ordinary ways. A child grows up in a household where certain political views are treated as moral truths. Those views become intertwined with love and belonging. Questioning them feels like questioning the people who raised them. The belief is not a proposition, it is a relationship. Adults carry these relational beliefs into the wider world, unaware that their convictions are built on emotional foundations laid decades earlier. And everyone is doing the same, in every direction, all the time. This insight introduces a surprising kind of compassion. When someone clings tightly to a belief, even one that seems strange, they're often protecting a part of themselves that once felt fragile. But belief isn't just emotional or social, it's also sensory. Our brains are prediction machines. They continuously interpret the world not as it is, but as they expect it to be. We think we see with our eyes, but much of perception is the brain projecting its expectations onto sensory input. Beliefs shape perception directly. One famous study shows this elegantly. Give people a wine labeled as expensive, and they report it tastes better, even when it's identical to the cheap wine. Functional brain scans show the belief of quality actually changes the brain's pleasure response. Belief literally rewrites experience. Another example, athletes wearing lucky clothing often perform better, not because the clothing has magical properties, but because confidence changes posture, attention, coordination. When belief improves performance, the world reinforces the belief, creating a self-perpetuating loop. This loop appears everywhere. A person who believes they're socially awkward becomes tense in social settings. The tension makes interactions go poorly. The failure confirms the belief. Another loop spirals in the opposite direction. Someone believes they're capable, which produces calm, which produces competence, which strengthens belief. Beliefs are not passive. They are engines. And like engines, they can propel us forward or trap us in circles. But if belief is so deeply embedded in our biology and culture, can we ever examine it clearly? The answer is yes, not by eliminating belief, but by illuminating it. One of the most powerful tools for examining belief is introspection, guided by curiosity rather than judgment. Noticing a belief doesn't mean discarding it. It means holding it up to the light and asking, where did this come from? What experience shaped it? What fear protects it? What hope sustains it? What evidence supports it? What evidence challenges it? How does this belief serve me? How does it limit me? These questions don't attack belief. They deepen it. They transform belief from a reflex into a choice. Imagine being able to say, I believe this, not because I inherited it, not because I was rewarded for it, not because I am afraid to let it go, but because I have thought about it carefully and it aligns with the world as I understand it. That kind of conscious belief becomes a source of strength rather than rigidity. It allows flexibility without collapse. Reflective belief is the evolution of belief, a way to carry the best of our ancient instincts forward while shedding the fear-driven parts that no longer serve us. And reflective belief has an unexpected companion, empathy. When we begin to understand how belief forms, defends itself, adapts, and persists, we stop seeing opposing beliefs as threats. Instead, we see human stories. We see childhoods, cultures, experiences, traumas, loyalties, longings. We see people navigating the same vast, mysterious universe with the same limited tools. Empathy doesn't require agreement. It requires understanding. Picture again the two strangers at the train station. One believing in destiny, the other in randomness. Their paths may diverge intellectually, but both are trying to make sense of the same uncertainties. Both are protecting themselves from the same void of not knowing. Both are building meaning from the raw material of experience. Belief becomes a bridge, not a wall, when we see its humanity. And that's what makes this exploration more than an academic exercise. It's a way to live better together. Because modern life is filled with belief collisions. We encounter thousands of perspectives online. We belong to multiple overlapping identities. We navigate a world where information spreads faster than comprehension. In such a landscape, the reflex is to react, to defend, to argue, to retreat into familiar narratives. But belief becomes healthier when it slows down. A moment of pause before reacting. A moment of curiosity before judgment. A moment of empathy before dismissal. It's not about being neutral. It's about being conscious. This consciousness also transforms how we relate to ourselves. Many of our private struggles, anxiety, perfectionism, self-doubt, are built on unexamined beliefs about worth, capability, or identity. When we look closely, we often find these beliefs were formed in moments when we were too young to question them. Reflective belief gives us permission to rewrite those internal narratives, to replace inherited beliefs with chosen ones, to build an identity rooted not in fear, but in clarity. Imagine believing, not because you must, but because you decide to. Imagine understanding others, not by their positions, but by the stories behind those positions. Imagine holding beliefs lightly enough to grow, yet firmly enough to stand. Humans do not believe because we are foolish. We believe because we are storytellers, because we long for meaning, because our brains evolved to find patterns in the dark. And belief, in all its beauty and all its danger, is what allowed our species to thrive. The challenge for our time is not to abandon belief, but to refine it, to let belief be a torch rather than a weapon, to let it illuminate ourselves and others rather than divide us, to let it evolve as we evolve. Because the real power of belief is not that it explains the world, it's that it shapes the world. And when we understand belief, we understand the invisible architecture of human experience. In the end, the question isn't whether humans should believe. We always will. The question is how consciously we choose the beliefs that guide us. Belief is the mind reaching outward. Understanding belief is the mind looking inward. Wisdom is the meeting point of the two. And in that meeting, a deeper truth emerges. Belief is not what separates us. It is what reveals how deeply we are the same.